Life Audio.
Welcome to the Crosswalk Devotional. Today we'll be talking about how God's abundance meets us in our moments of grief. We'll be right back with a brief message from our sponsors. Abundance Meets Our Grief by Amanda Idleman. 2 Kings 4:2. Elijah replied to her, "How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" "Your servant has nothing there at all," she said, "except a small jar of olive oil." Elijah was approached by a widow of a man who was reported to be righteous, but died with significant debts. The widow had 2 sons who were at risk of becoming slaves in order to pay off the debt of their father. This meek widow was desperate and distraught when she approached the prophet. Many of us can relate with this widow. Maybe we received a bad diagnosis, lost a loved one, were let go from a job, experienced a failed marriage, and as a result, saw a bleak, hopeless future ahead. The natural response when the news is bad is to go to our friends, family, and our community in order to find our support. Too many times, the people around us just don't know how to respond to our tragedy. They may offer advice, but this response can feel overwhelming. Sometimes they offer sayings or verses, but at that moment, these ideas feel empty. Elijah models a response that is full of wisdom and compassion when he asks, "How can I help you?" In our moments of desperation, what we want more than anything is the presence of our loved ones. We want to be heard, seen, and we need the comfort that comes with the knowledge they are there to help. If you have a friend or a loved one in crisis, one of the best places to start is by asking them what they need. Elijah goes on to then ask another wise question, which is, what do you already have? In tragedy and grief, it's easy to only see the lack around us. That's when we need a community to rally alongside us to remind us what God has already given us. It's their role to spur on our faith, trusting that God can multiply what we have in our times of need. Elijah discovered the widow did have something to offer the Lord. It was a small vial of valuable olive oil. He instructed her to gather empty containers of all kinds, bring them to her house, close the doors, and begin pouring out this oil. She was obedient at her step of faith that trusted that God could use her little, resulted in abundant provision for her and her sons. God not only multiplied the oil so she would have enough to pay off her debts, he gave her enough to sustain her and her sons for the rest of their lives. Abundant grace poured out on his righteous ones indeed. Do we trust that God can use our little for his glory? Do we have faith that when we see others in need around us, we can encourage them to be bold in asking God to do abundantly on their behalf in their lives? It's so easy to see our problems, but the gift the prophet gave the widow was the ability to see possibilities even in this dark moment. He had not given up faith in the promise that God will care for the needy. The widow's obedience to this odd-seeming set of instructions was honored by God. They both had to participate in order to see the miracle come to pass. God is a provider. He loves us in really practical ways, giving us this daily bread kind of ways. We just have to take what we have and offer it up to him in faith to see his abundance at work before us. Intersecting faith and life. Are you walking with someone who's navigating a dark season? Remember the phrase, "How can I help?" when other words seem insufficient. They inspire trust, give a chance to show practical love to them, and give the person we love a chance to speak. Do you feel hopeless? Begin your journey towards faith by enlisting the help of those who are walking with God. The widow experienced a miracle for a variety of reasons, but one important part of the story is that she first sought the help of the prophet. She knew that he would offer wise counsel. She trusted him and knew he would have faith even if she felt hopeless. What do you have to offer the Lord? If you are in need of a miracle, many times God wants us to take the first step towards him before he multiplies our resources. Can you offer him your time, your worship, your money, talent, your home, hospitality, a phone call to the right doctor, a trip to see a loved one you need to forgive? Ask God how he can show his abundance through your obedience. Further reading, 2 Kings 4, God works miracles through Elijah. 2 Kings 4, 1-7.
The Crosswalk Devotional is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review this podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.